We'll see how it goes.
Because you're still kind of unsure about this, right?
Yeah. Whatever. We can throw it away if it sucks. Or you just publish it if it sucks.
I mean, that's pretty much all of our podcasts, isn't it? All right. Welcome back to the Why Do I Talk to You podcast. I am still, for some reason, Saul Starsheep 4.
Is that your thing?
It pretty much is.
All right, I'm still Dave. I did this last episode too. I'm still Dave. Gamer Dave. April.
To be honest with you, actually, I got called out on this the other day. My tag, okay?
You mean other than me?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
I mean, not just you have ever just gotten on me for my...
Was it our anonymous listener? Did someone say, I was listening to your podcast until I had this guy's gamer tag?
No, it's because I've had a Gmail account for like decades now.
Mm-hmm.
That is Starsheep 4.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know what? I probably shouldn't have said that.
No, please. Continue.
Yeah, and my social security number.
Yeah, I know that too. It's out there.
Well, whatever. Anyways, I don't use it for like...
Well, that's our official fan mail account now.
Great. Fan mail. Why do you have these... never mind. Anyways, I have some like special accounts linked to that, and I had to tell that to somebody. I was like, oh, actually, you need to send it to... So I've had this email address for like a long time. So like you can judge me all you want. And the guy was like, no, I understand. I have some of those like that. I was like, okay, it's Starsheep 4. And then he was like, there was like silence. And then he was just like, I might have to judge you.
Was this like a friend or was it like a professional? Like
it was a professional.
Wow, I don't know, man. That's a little unprofessional. I'm gonna stand by you a little bit. Anyway.
I mean, I can't blame them. I do most of my email through like my actual professional email account, you know?
Sure.
But like this one particular thing just has to go through this. And okay. Well, this is weird. Welcome back yet again to W Diddy.
We still haven't started.
No. Just we're welcome back to W Diddy podcast. I'm still over here. Dave is still over there. Oh, let's get this started. So the topic of today, full disclosure, we are not the most exploit of people on this topic. We have a long... Okay, so it's on fighting games, right? If you read the title card, okay? It's on fighting games. There's a reason why we wanted to start this in particular. Well, for one thing, we like fighting games. We really do. We like watching people who are good at fighting games do it.
Okay, not us.
Not us, definitely not us. Dave, in particular, and he'll go into this in more detail, has participated in a couple of Super Smash Bros. Tournaments.
Yeah. 2 Warriors, baby.
Dave is the best Smash player that I've ever met.
Doesn't mean a whole lot.
The fact is that anytime we're out anywhere, like with friends, nobody wants to play with him. Yeah, because he's too good. Like, he makes it not fun. Let's be honest.
Well, we'll talk more about this later. It's kind of interesting.
But not only do we just because we like fighting games, but when we thought about it and we thought about gaming history as of late, as in a couple of years past, fighting games have kind of reemerged a little bit, or is starting to gain like yet another wave of popularity. We got games like DB's Dragon Ball Fighter Z, the new Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is coming out. A new iteration of Pokken Tournament, Pokken DX is coming out. Tekken 7 just came out. That sort of revolutionized, or it was like a big wave as far as Tekken goes. Guilty Gear Rev 2 for all you people who like anime fighters like that.
The fighter's really good though.
And Super Smash Bros. has like always been like on a consistent high ground, also in the fighting world, and the eSports world, and just like the competitive gaming world in general. Fighting games are big. I would say that they haven't always been that way. No. Back in the SNES era, I guess the fighter that dominated would have been, Street Fighter 2. And, dominated the arcades, dominated everything. Mortal Kombat came out as well. Then other franchises like Killer Instinct, Virtua Fighter, just to a little extent. Tekken came out. And then other side shoots like, Marvel vs. Capcom. Smash comes out. I mean, fighting games has gained a lot of momentum recently. And I think they're definitely at an apex currently. I don't know where they're going to go after this. Now they've entered in. They definitely entered in the superhero world with Injustice and everything. Mortal Kombat had a reboot several years ago. Street Fighter is still on the up and up and gaining even more traction. I think in the eSports community and whatnot. Fighting games are something that people should be paying attention to. I think if they're not already.
Yeah, they're getting a lot more mainstream attention, and it's kind of interesting. I should do a disclaimer right now. I know a little bit more about this topic than Salt, just because I pay attention to esports a little bit more. I followed League of Legends for a while. That's sort of what kickstarted the whole esports thing. Obviously, fighting game tournaments existed before then. Evo has been around a long time, the premier fighting game thing. But it has all gotten very mainstream. So I should disclaim I know a little bit more about this, and it's so funny because I don't interact with this community because it's not my community, and I don't actually play any traditional fighter, even sort of almost competitively. I am sort of almost kind of competitively play Smash 4, and that's about it. And I watch enough other fighting games, and I pay attention enough to the scene to know that even just the fact that Smash Bros. Isn't really liked by most traditional fighting game fans, which is just an interesting thing. But all that to say, I'm a little bit more aware of the esports fighting game community, and it's getting big. You're seeing Street Fighter V streamed on ESPN channels. You're seeing Disney pick up things like Super Smash Bros. 4 tournaments and putting that on Disney XD and things like that. So it's just really interesting seeing where fighting games have come. And when I was a kid, all I remember is Street Fighter 2 was a thing. It was kind of out there. I never got into fighting games very much when I was a kid. The first, quote-unquote fighting game that I ever really got into was Smash Bros. On the 64. And that was because that game was just a lot of fun. That was in the era where you had 4 controllers, man, and you had all your friends over, and it was let's play Mario Kart, Mario Party, and Smash Bros. Yeah, that was it, man. And so
that's a time long gone.
It is. When's the last time you had 4 or 3 of your friends in your house playing video games with you? Yeah, it's been a while. But so that's sort of my gateway drug, if you will, into fighting games was Smash Bros. And then I would dabble a little bit in other fighting games as people would hey, let's play this or whatever, and and in my memory, at least, I just remember sort of this time period where it was just kind of this black hole for fighting games. I don't remember almost anything between Smash Bros. And Street Fighter 4. And I'm aware that Street Fighter 3 was a huge thing in the fighting community, and I could watch that game. That game is a ton of fun to watch someone play if they're good at. But at the time, it was a very niche community, and it wasn't something that was approachable to everyone. It felt like the casual audience, and this is sort of something that was interesting to happen with Street Fighter V, was that it completely failed to appeal to the casual audience because it launched with so few features. It launched without an arcade mode. It launched without its story mode. We had to wait months for that to come out. And so Street Fighter V's failure was sort of similar to Street Fighter 3's commercial failure. I realize that a lot of people hold that as the gold standard for competitive 2D fighters, but in terms of appealing to the casual audience, Street Fighter V sort of had a rough time. So we're a little bit more of the casual audience. So it's just sort of interesting that for us, I don't know what it was like for you. I think you played Tekken a little bit more because you were more of a PlayStation guy.
I played Tekken way more. Yeah.
Yeah. So we just have very different experiences. So for me, in terms of the mainstream as a Nintendo guy, fighting games pretty much dropped off the map until I was in college and Street Fighter 4 came out, and you had a buddy with the PS3 or Xbox One, and you played Street Fighter 4 because it was Street Fighter again, baby, and it was all the characters you recognized. So, and now we're at a point where we just list them all off. There's so much stuff. There's all these character fighters. Marvel vs. Capcom has been at the center of a ton of controversy just because of how it really feels like the Disney MCU has a stranglehold on what they're allowed to put in that game, and that led to this huge upswing of like Dragon Ball Z Fighters, guys. I mean, I love Dragon Ball Z. I grew up with that. It feels like the fighting game community in general just loved Dragon Ball Z, and they were just waiting for a game like this to come out. Maybe the same people who did Guilty Gear, which everybody loves. It seems like everybody loves the Guilty Gear fighting engine and like the game, but it's so hard to get into. Like, it sort of turns even a lot of competitive people. Like, it is not the most popular competitive game, but that game is sick to watch. And so, yeah, and all this stuff. And Pokken, I'm a big fan of Pokken. I enjoy the game a lot. It didn't really catch on the Wii U because the Wii U is kind of a dead system. So I'm excited to see what it can do on the Switch, and as Nintendo is, kind of trying to pour more stuff into competitive games like Splatoon. Rest in peace, Smash Bros. You will never get support from Nintendo. It's okay. We still love you lots. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see what this new era is going to be. And sort of, we want to put our 2 cents in as, casual players who still grew up enjoying fighting games a fair amount.
It's interesting that you bring up how like some of these games aren't too friendly to casuals,
Mm-hmm.
And like to take a retro look at that, it would be like, I remember going over to a neighbor's house and they had a SNES and they had the Street Fighter 2. And just getting rocked because what am I gonna do, right? Like, I don't know any of the move sets, and I was a kid, so I had no concept of move sets, and I had no idea how to do a Hadouken or anything like that, right? So of course I just got rocked, and it's like, that's not fun. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's not going to make me necessarily want to beg my parents for a SNES and for Street Fighter.
Yeah.
I even remember like this happening in the arcades. Like, if I had a quarter to spend or whatever, I'd pop it in for probably Street Fighter 2 or probably Street Fighter 3, and go in and just get rocked by the computer. And I'm just like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, it's just better than me. How am I supposed to learn from this? And arcades, you're just meant to spend money, right? But but I'm a kid, right? I'm innocent. I don't know any of this. That all sort of changed for me when Best Buy used to be Best Buy. You know what I mean? When PlayStation had
they're just worse. You know what I mean?
Good Lord.
All right. Continue.
Boy, I really hope that joke didn't come through on the microphone.
I'm sure it's fine.
Great. Anyways, when this was like at the height of PlayStation versus N64, wars,
console
right?
wars,
console wars. There you go.
Yeah,
and the Saturn was just sort of there.
It existed.
And I remember going to a store. And I never touched Tekken 1, but I went into a Best Buy and they had a demo of Tekken 2 playing on their PlayStation kiosk. And for whatever reason, my dad would be going to Best Buy. I would just be over there by the PlayStation kiosk, and like if it was free, I would literally run to it and start up the demo for Tekken 2. The playable character. I mean, I remember everything. The playable characters were Lei Wulong and Jun Kazama, and the game just blew me away. Even though I was still like a kid and I didn't really understand what movesets were, so I was button mashing probably like crazy. But like, I mean, like, I think anybody who's played a fighter knows that like experience of like brief euphoria when your character does something awesome that that you inputted, even though it was by accident. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because like Tekken did a lot of things differently, because it was 3D, and they set the standard a lot for many 3D fighters, I think. With like sidestepping and 3D dynamic views, different camera angles, like for different movesets and whatnot. Like Tekken 2 was just really awesome. And I remember I played that demo to death. My parents did not want me to get into fighting games. Like they just did not want me. That's what it is, And you know what? Like I'm an adult now, so I can understand, I guess. But like, they didn't want me to do any of that.
How old were you at the time?
Tekken 2 was like 97, so like 7 or 8, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of, because that game was not rated E.
It was rated T.
Yeah, because I remember when I wanted to get Smash Bros, because I had friends who had it, and it was just so fun. I just loved it so much immediately. And I wanted to get it, and my parents were like, well, it's a little violent. And I'm like, but it's Morrow. And it's like, what? Like, it's not that bad. I'm like, well, I guess it's rated E so you can get it. So it's like, woo. But then when Melee came out, Melee was rated T.
Oh.
And that was like, I really don't know. And it was actually my dad who kind of fought for it, because my mom was like, I don't know. My dad was like, we played the first one and he's not beating anybody up. I don't think anything's really changed. Like, it's the same game, right? I was like, all right, whatever.
By the way, I think the commercial for Smash Bros. 64
probably
goes down in history to any gamer like of this time period of just being the greatest commercial there ever was.
Yeah,
I don't think any of us can listen to the Turtles happy together. You might like the song as it is. You might have liked it before, but you can't
Forever
not
changed,
bring a thought to, what is it? Is it like Yoshi who like kicks Mario in the shins?
I think
first?
it's Mario kicks Yoshi in the shins, I think. Yeah.
Donkey Kong is swinging Pikachu by the tail, right?
Oh, yeah.
That is,
I miss video game commercials, like, in general. Now it's all just, like, dark, gritty.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, some of those 90s commercials were, like, pretty ridiculous. I don't know if I want to go that far back, but, you know, it's gone to a boring place.
And you know what, when you were talking about how Smash Bros. Sort of alienates a little bit of the fighting community, I remember, like, when I was reading some sort of list, like, on early internet of, like, best fighters, right? And Smash Bros. Was, like, either up there at the top or, like, you know, one at the top. And I was like, what? Like, that's not a fight. And I was like, that's not a fight. But you fight people. I mean, that's all you do.
Yeah,
you just fight the whole time through. And I was like, I don't know what to think about this. Because you think if fighters are only on a 2D plane, two people, maybe on a tag basis, and you just beat the snot out of each other. There's a KO, there's a winner, you're done. Smash Bros. Is not that.
Yeah, everything that a traditional fighting game does now, like if you look at any of these games with this, Marvel vs. Capcom, Dragon Ball Fighters, Tekken strays this a little bit, but you know, Guilty Gear, they're all this sort of 2D plane, and it's very focused on like jump-ins and blocks and combos, and like Smash Bros. Did like all that stuff different. They currently are terming it a platform fighter, as these sort of, I don't want to say knockoffs, but like other games that are sort of trying to mimic it, like Rivals of Aether is a game out there that tries to do the same thing, and they're called platform fighters because the goal is basically to push your opponent off the edge, and you have control of the stage as opposed to just hitting them enough times until they fall down. And that's very, even in Tekken, which, you know, incorporates a 3D plane, or Pokken, which has this sort of 3D element to it, and then like switches back and forth a little bit. It's still hit them until they don't get up. Whereas Smash Bros. Is really different. So I understand why people are sort of hesitant to put it in that category, but there's no denying that Melee especially, but also Smash 4, have a huge audience of both players and spectators. And they, you know, they engage in these things like Evo, and they're getting the same sort of publicity with big name companies like Disney. So, you know.
Smash Bros. To me was like, if I were to name the two fighters, actually, if I were only to name the only fighters that I really have a lot of exposure with, would be Tekken and Smash Bros. I never owned an N64, so I always went over to friends' houses who happened to have Smash, and I remember just playing Pikachu all the time, and I mean, that's why Pikachu is still my main, for better or for worse. And when Melee came around, that like really, really like revolutionized what the game was supposed to be about, and like set the standard for probably the rest of the series, however long it's going to be. I remember losing an awful lot playing. We played Melee a lot in my dorm room when I was a freshman in college, and everybody there knew all the tricks. Everybody there only mained Falco. Everybody there only, and I was just like,
but did they actually know all the tricks? Yes, like, did they use terms like wave dashing?
Yes, they did. Wow. Wave dashing, L canceling, like everything like that. And so I didn't stand a chance.
No,
I just did not.
No, you don't.
With Pikachu in that setting for Melee, like I still remain faithful to Pikachu because I'm just a nerd, and I lost virtually every single time. Only time I would ever win was through error. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like oh no, I tried this but I missed and now I fell. I'm like, hey, I'm the winner. You know?
Yeah.
And then Brawl came out, but you know that's another story. So, anyways, like I said, Smash Bros. and Tekken are the ones that I'm most familiar with. You know, like, I guess the reason why I've really liked fighting games. Well, I mean, it's easy to say, one of the reasons why you like Smash. Like, even if you don't like a fighter, you could like Smash because either they use your favorite IPs or because it's a different sort of way of playing a fighting game. But like, if we're talking about a traditional fighter like Tekken, I mean, the reason why I like Tekken so much is because I like kung fu movies. I think that's probably it. Lei Wulong's character design is very much based on Jackie Chan. And like when Tekken 2 was out, I was getting into Jackie Chan movies. And, my dad had shown me Bruce Lee movies too. And there is a Bruce Lee person in Tekken games also. But Jackie Chan was my guy. And so to see Lei Wulong, subconsciously, I'm controlling Jackie Chan, doing Jackie Chan type moves and stuff like that. Doing Jackie Chan things with the Jackie Chan stuff and Jackie Chan. Jackie Chan. It's cool. Yeah. Straight up. I mean, like, just say it like as a kid. It was cool. It was a fun game. I remember also, because I never owned Tekken 2 or Tekken 3 because of my aforementioned parents.
Really? You just played them at Best Buy?
Well, Tekken 3 came out when I was subscribed to Official PlayStation Magazine. They came out with demo discs every month also. And when they had no decent demos, they would do, like, legacy demos of, like, games that had already been out that are classic games, but they still had demos too, and they just burned them onto a disc for you. And one of them was Tekken 3. Very similar to Tekken 2, you only got two characters, Zhao Yu and the infamous Eddie Gordo. That's how I got so good at Eddie Gordo's moveset. So that was
the only character you could play.
Well, that's not necessarily true. In fact, that's definitely not true. Because eventually, when I got a PS2, I got Tekken Tag Tournament, which is still revered as like one of the best Tekken games out there in the series. That gave you every single Tekken character to that date. And so I got good at a lot of other characters too, other than Eddie, but I would be lying if I didn't say that I use him a lot. So I have experience in fighting games, but a more accurate statement is I have experience in Tekken. You know what I mean? Because I had Tekken 4, I have Tekken 5, did not get to play 6, but I do have that on the 3DS. And I'm still trying to get 7 right now, but I need some money for that.
So, when you play Tekken, has it been pretty much always like a solo player experience? Or like how much of that was, like how many of those games were like playing with friends versus just playing the computer over and over again?
Well, I got good. Not competitive good, but I got good.
Yeah.
So it wasn't fun for my friends to play.
So you know the feel too.
In a way. I wouldn't say that I know exactly how you feel, but like in a way I do. I would play a lot with my sister though. My sister got really good with one of the characters, and I would not.
Which character?
Law, the Bruce Lee character. I would not always win against her. Like it was kind of a toss up. She did not make it very easy. So she got good at it too, and so we used to fight alongside each other because you could in Tekken Tag, which was awesome, or against each other. And sometimes, I mean, I'd say most of the time I was the winner, but it wasn't like always a sure thing. When friends came over and played it, I mean, like I remember the first time I played Tekken with you, Dave. Oh, jeez. Oh, man, you were angry. You were so angry.
I am not good at Tekken.
He came over one day. We were just coming over to chill, whatever. And I think he was talking about wanting to play Tekken because that's when you were like really starting to get into the competitive fighting community.
I just had like a competitive itch, and I was like, well, let's do this thing.
And so I had my PS2 still hooked up. And so I was like, well, let's play Tekken Tag. Like that's the one I'm like most good at. And he was like, okay, yeah, sure. And oh man, I made him so angry. He didn't win a single fight against me. I mean, not even one. Not even just like a whole not even one round. I don't think he got so mad.
I've kind of blocked this out of my memory. I'd like to say I wasn't as mad at like Saul for beating me as I was just like. The controls were very unintuitive to me. Like, they just did not... Tekken, I had played Street Fighter here and there. Like, I played Street Fighter 4 with people in college, and, like, I would probably win more than I lost, but none of us were good. Like, we didn't always get our Hadoukens out when we pushed the button. Like, it's just like... But I understood the concept of... If you jump in on them and then attack low, they have to do a very specific thing to block it. And we're bad, so we can't really do that. And so, just figuring out basic, like, little things like that. And so, going into Tekken where jumping does, like, next to nothing, and there's like this 3D plane, and it's not a 6-button fighter, it's a 4-button fighter with like each button links to like a different appendage, which just seemed like the dumbest thing I had.
Which I don't understand how you think that's the dumbest thing. I think that is the most intuitive thing ever. Just one button controls a limb.
But it's just like it feels unintuitive to me because it's like I don't know if I want to swing with my right arm or my left arm. What I do know is if I want a quick punch, I hit the light punch button. If I want to do one that does more damage, I hit the heavy button. I don't know if the right punch or the left punch does more damage.
Get good.
I don't know if the kicks. Okay, well if you're talking about like what's intuitive and like what brings a game like brings you in, like that didn't bring me in because it felt very like in Street Fighter. It's like okay, I like. Kicks are longer range than punches, and I have these 3 options for if I want to hit harder. And like that's it. And
well,
like,
also because Street Fighter moves faster than Tekken too. Street Fighter moves way faster than Tekken, so like that's not really what you're looking for. You're not looking for the quick jab or like you're not looking for. That's not what I'm looking for when I'm going up against a new opponent or like anything like that. I'm not because I remember you were trying to come in. You were trying to come in at me, right?
I was trying to play the game.
You were trying to play. Okay. Did you win a game?
No.
Yeah. Okay. So you were trying to come in at me and I wouldn't let you have it. Like I punished you very easily.
Yeah, which was the correct thing to do. Like it's fine. Like,
but like at the same time, you weren't really grasping the speed change either. You know what I mean? Like. You're right. Jumps aren't next to nothing in Tekken, but they have way more of a purpose. I think in Street Fighter, just as example,
they're much more like you can do a lot of different things with jump. It feels like the jumping. I mean, it is. It's much more limited in Tekken, which is much more realistic than the cartoony. You can jump like 20 feet in the air. Street Fighter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and overheads are a thing. I mean, overheads are a thing in Tekken, but you don't launch them. In Street Fighter, the way to launch overheads is jump. And there are a few other moves that are overheads, but they're usually a little slow, or you have to know exactly which one they are. They're like telegraphed a little bit. In like Tekken, you don't have to jump to do overheads. Like if you just put the right combo, they're just overheads. Like, yeah.
I wish I could have recorded it or something. There are only 2 instances where I was pretty sure Dave was going to walk out on me for like nothing offensive I've done. That and when we played Battlefront 2 together. Oh my gosh, he was angry. Ladies and gentlemen, the guy sitting right next to me, my co-host, he was not always known as Gamer Dave. That's a moniker I actually gave him because when he gets in gaming mode, he is not the same nice, amiable person that you see. Like
you don't see me, but
well, whatever. Like we could be playing a game together, and then all of a sudden, like a robber comes and stabs me through the face, and I'm bleeding through. But he wins the round. Before he calls the ambulance, he would be, "Yes, you're good, son. Yes, I got you." And then I'd be
that bad. Not that bad.
It got scary at times. It got very scary at times. Now, that was when he was playing a game that he was good at, all right? Usually, like, when we would be playing, at the time, Brawl together, which he would still just completely dominate me at, even though Brawl is kind of the black sheep of the whole family. Then we would play, like, Battlefront. And then the darker side of Gamer Dave would come out. And so then I'm just like...
the salty side.
I'm just like, you are a completely different person. You are Gamer Dave. Like, that is what you are. That is not actual Dave. It's an alter ego persona, Gamer Dave. And that actually kind of stuck for him, so...
And thus the legend was born.
That's
something.
That's a better tag than Starship 4 was born.
That's for sure.
So you're really into esports, though, right? You're really into spectating. You're really into. I mean, like you would attend a big esport tournament, like if you could.
Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I've been to a couple. I've been to like 2 League of Legends things, and I've attended like 4-ish Smash tournaments, 4 or 5, just in my local region. They're all local.
You attended and participated, right?
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
I lost a lot. That's the great thing about fighting games is that, when I'm just going to parlay this into my own experience with fighting games, which is pretty much all Smash Bros. When Smash 64 came out, it was mostly just for fun, but I had a few friends who I'd play with, and, initially I played a lot of Luigi because he's one of my favorite characters, and it was like, whatever. But I remember I went over to one friend's house, and, like, something was wrong with his like, N64 memory. Like, the cartridge got dirty, and, like, we had to play just basic characters. Like, oh, I like Star Fox 64 a lot. I'll just play Fox. And so I played Fox, and, I don't even know the tier list for 64, but long story short, Fox just felt really good, and so I played him a lot. And so I remember there was this one guy in my neighborhood who he mained Kirby. I think Kirby's actually top tier, but whatever.
I think he is. Kirby, whatever, yeah.
Yeah. But so we would just play all the time. It was like 4 or 5 stocks. We played on not legal stages. We played on I think now Dreamland is the only legal stage in 64, but I think we played on, like, Sector Z and Hyrule Temple. Probably in Dreamland too, maybe even Yoshi's Island. But anyways, I would usually win, but only by, like, a stock. Like, it was always tight, but I would almost always win. And so we would just go back and forth, and it was so much fun. Like, we had just it was just so fun, like, challenging. And then, like, one day he beat me. Like, he beat me pretty soundly a few times. I was frustrated. I was like, that sucks. Like, whatever.
You were frustrated?
Yeah, I was not happy, but I wasn't as bad as what you would describe. I was just like, I was kind of like, because we had played a lot, and he, like, finally won. I was like, all right, cool. Good. And so, like, then I was like, next week, I was like, hey, man, you want to play? He's like, no, I'm not going to play anymore. I beat you. And I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, what do you mean? It's like, no, I'm not going to, I beat you. I was like, and then he would always, like, make up some excuse, and I was livid. I was so mad. I was like, oh, this sucks so much. And so then when Melee came out, I saw another kid in, like, our cul-de-sac got it, and so I went over there, and that was when I was like, well, Falco's in this game? Because, again, I like Star Fox a lot, and, like, Falco, I was like, yeah, Falco's sweet. And so I just mained Falco, and the guy who I had played a lot in 64, he, like, never really played again. Like, whatever. Yeah, there's no, like, good story in that. That was just it. Like,
he's all like, that's it, man.
Yeah,
I'm not getting any better than this.
I guess. I don't know. But anyway, so I just played a lot. And, like, all through high school, everybody I played, I would just beat. Like, it was, like, not really. There was one guy my senior year, I think he was a sophomore, who played Fox, and we did, we went Fox, Falco, Final Destination, and it was close, but again, it was similar to before, where I would always pull it out, but it was pretty close. And then I went to college, and I met these other 2 guys who, like, played Smash Bros, and they knew about wave dashing and L canceling and stuff. And they weren't actually that good. I know this because I would still take games off them. And again, we didn't know the whole rule set. We played on Hyrule Temple a lot, which is, not whatever. They would actually play, like, characters who are better on Hyrule Temple, I think, like Fox. I think because Fox is so good is one reason it got banned. But anyway, we would play on that. And really the only thing I kind of got in, like, as far as advanced knowledge was, like, shuffling, which is a short hop aerial, like, L cancel. I could kind of do that. But that was about it. I couldn't wave dash. I couldn't really do the other stuff. But, for whatever reason, I just understood the game well enough. And they weren't, like, super great at using... one of them was a Fox main, and I beat him pretty consistently. The other one was a dual main Sheik Captain Falcon. And I would always beat his Captain Falcon, but his Sheik would always beat me. But it was just really fun. We had this... But the guy who played Fox would always beat the Sheik. And it was just this great, like, 3-way, like, we would just play. And, like, we knew, like, we weren't, like, the best or whatever, because they knew how to wave dash, but they couldn't implement it that well to, like, I don't know, I just had enough of an understanding where I could keep up with them. And, like, we were aware that there was one guy who I think at one point was regarded as the best Bowser in Melee, for whatever the heck that's worth. Gimpy Fish actually went to the same college as us, and I think the guy who played Fox interacted with him a couple times, but I never really saw him. But anyway, so we were all super psyched for Brawl, and then it wasn't really what we expected. Like, I played it quite a bit, but it was immediately obvious to me that people who I had thrashed before were, like, able to keep up with me in that game. Like, it just felt...
That is literally what happened with me and my college dorm mates, because I still mained Pikachu.
Yeah.
And Pikachu got a gigantic boost going from Melee to Brawl.
Yeah.
I was taking games everywhere.
It just didn't feel like... Even at the... Brawl gets a lot of crap from specifically Melee fans, but from a lot of players in the series, where it just felt like it just wasn't the same. And it felt like even at my, like, mid-tier at best level, the skill gap just wasn't there. And that's one of the coolest things, because, again, Smash 4 came out, and one of my friends who I play, I'd beat. Even just recently, I just played Smash 4 with a friend down in San Diego. I hadn't seen it in a while. We both gone to a couple tournaments or whatever, and we're both 0-2 warriors. Like, he said he went 2-2 once. I think I went 2-2 at a tournament once, but, I also went 0-2 twice. I think I went 1-2 twice. So basically, we just lost a lot. But it's just like, even playing against him, I would just win every time. Like, we would do, we were doing Cloud Dittos, so, whatever, but I would just win every time. And so it's just so crazy. Like, that's one of the cool things about fighting games. You can be like, yeah, I'm the greatest at this game. I beat all my friends. And then you go to a competitive tournament and you're like, I am strict garbage. Like, I am absolute trash. I was playing, like, I had done some research. I knew who the PR players in our community were. I play in IE, Inland Empire, for those of you who are curious. It's a sub-region of Southern California. But, I knew who IMHIP was. I knew who Ouija was. I knew who Caesar were. Like, I knew that they were, like, the top players. And I was playing against no-names, and I was just getting bopped. Like, it's just, like, some of them were close, and I just couldn't pull off, probably because I had a little bit of nerves. But it was, like, it was just this realization, like, yeah, I am not good at this game. Like, I am not good at this game at all. But then you have to go back and play your friends. You're like, God, you're so good at this game. Stop. You're like, no, you're just really bad. Like, I don't want to say that, but, like, you're thinking it. Because, like, at that point, Like, at that point, you've learned your place in the world. And you are nothing. Yeah, and your eyes are just open to, like, all right. And it's not to say I didn't have fun. I had a lot of fun. I was just mostly doing it at a time where I didn't really have the money to, like, pay the pots for the tournaments or whatever. Now I'm in a place where I don't really have the time. But I would do it, like, if I had the time again. I want to take Saul sometime just so he can experience it. Like,
good Lord, I'm just going to come as a spectator.
There's a pretty small one in the area. But anyway, it's really, and, people are really chill. And they're, like, welcome you in. And, like, it's not like they laugh at you because you're bad. You just love this game together.
Maybe that's why I just expect all these tournaments are just nothing but gamer days.
It's really not like
getting tilted everywhere, like, and so there's a lot of tension in the air.
I was playing Cloud, and I was, like, terrible. There's a guy who plays Cloud in the area, and he'd been, like, mating, like, Cloud, and he'd been in the community for a while, and, like, he just was excited to see someone else who was playing Cloud. Like, I remember I did have this sick read once where I had been up-airing this guy, and then eventually I was like, he's expecting me to up air again, so he's going to air dodge. What if I just jump at finishing touch? Because I had the limit off. And finishing touch is not a move you should ever really use in competitive, except in, like, the most extreme circumstances. And so I did that, and I hit him. And it was like, whoa, like, I would, like, and so the other Cloud player was like, I would never have thought to do that. And it was just like, even though he was clearly better, I never took a game off him. He's currently PR'd, bottom, like, part of the PR, Shade D, in case you're curious to look him up. But he's a really cool guy, and it was, like, he was really encouraging. And I think the next stock I actually ended with the finishing touch too, where I like, knocked him off the edge, and I was like, I wonder what happened if I just, like, ran off, because I was like, he's gonna recover this way. He did it every time. I wonder if I just, like, run off the cliff and finishing touch if that'd kill him. And it did, and everyone was like, whoa, that was sick. And I got, I think that was on the turn, so I went 2-2. So, I felt awesome, but
See, that's the thing about the fighting game community now. Now that it's become a thing,
mm-hmm.
And that it's competitive. It has a fairly large community. The thing that I was like about it is because what got me into fighting games initially was beating the crap out of your opponent, like, and doing cool moves, yada yada. Mm-hmm. It's a kung fu movie. Now, though, that is not how the competitive scene operates. The competitive scene is not just about being, the bullies, and, like, beating down the lessers, you know what I mean? It's very much the way that, like, you ever watch a movie and, like, it's, like, a period movie and it's about, like, fencing and like, how fencing has, like, you need to read the opponent, and he comes in like this, and you come out like that, and then you do this, and then,
absolutely no idea what you're talking about, but continue.
Great.
Yeah.
I'm just talking, like, because fighting game, the best people in the fighting game world, they have down the mechanics of the game that they are playing down to the millisecond.
Yeah.
They know exactly, like, they can react that quickly to the opponent's moves, like where the opponents are going, if the opponent's going to jump, if the opponent's going to guard.
They know all the best options to do in that exact situation, mm-hmm. and they can execute it.
So it's not even like a fighting game. It's like a brain game almost.
Yeah.
Like,
no, the amount of mental, like, just
absolutely
stress is insane.
And I mean, that applies to Smash. That applies to Street Fighter. That applies to Tekken to some extent. Like, that is what the professional or just like the esports community, as far as competitive fighters, like that's what they thrive on. You know what I mean? And like for me, whenever I play against Dave, like on Smash, the name of the game for me is just survival. So I'm mostly just trying to run away and just trying to go in like on an opening that I happen to see. Thing is though, is that Dave knows my tendencies. He knows that I'm not the best at Smash, and he knows my tendencies. Even though I try to hide them, I always end up going back to them. But like that's what you do. Like that's what the professional fighters do. They see those like openings, they see the flaws, they are able to predict the person's call. It's like being good at rock, paper, scissors or like tic-tac-toe. It's like, oh, you can't be good at those. Those are like kind of games of chance, but it's like, no, you can. You read your opponent, like the tendencies of your opponent, and you're sort of like making an educated guess on what they're going to do next and whatnot, Yeah,
and a lot of when there is a fighting game that people are kind of like meh on, a lot of times one of the criticisms will be like, well, it's too rock, paper, scissors. Because there is like a basic rock, paper, scissors element. Well, there's multiple elements. It's like this beats this, but gets beaten by this, and this beats this. So like the most basic example is like attacking beats grabbing, blocking beats attacking, but grabbing beats blocking. So this is actually one of the main criticisms of Pokken Tournament, which, I understand, but I just enjoy that game a lot. I just find a lot of things you can do with fun. One of the criticisms is it's very intentionally very heavy on grabbing beats blocking beats attacking, and attacking beats grabbing, to the point where counter hits are a thing in a lot of games where if you hit the person like when they had hit the button, you get bonus damage or bonus stun or whatever. In Pokken, they're called critical hits, and they occur when you attack someone when they're grabbing, or when you do a focus attack, basically, when they're attacking you, or when you grab them when they're doing a focus attack. Because focus attack kind of like combines blocking with attacking a little bit. And so, but there is a lot of like, if your opponent's doing this a lot, it's like, well, I'm just going to do this. Like one time when I was playing Pokken, I was getting beat by the dumbest strategy ever. This guy was literally using 2 moves, and I was losing because it just kind of beat my basic approach and what I was doing. So I had to really stop and think to myself, I was like, okay, how am I this guy is laming me out. How do I lame him out back? And so I just figured out, like, if I just do this every single time, it will beat what he's doing. And I'm just going to do it over and over again until he changes what he's doing. And he won round 1 because I was not expecting his cheese. And he never adapted what I did. So I just out-cheesed him out the next 2 rounds. And so that's kind of like, sometimes that's just what you do in fighting games, especially at the lower level. It's just, all right, my opponent's doing this all the time and it's working. I know that can't be the optimal thing. Why is it working? Okay, this is what I got to change. And then it's adapting back and forth to that. And at the highest level, that is still what's happening, but it's happening at such an insane speed. Like, it's crazy.
And obviously the casual environment, whether you're a gamer or you're not, they don't see that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't understand that that's
they don't understand why their movies are working.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I think a casual gamer, let's say a gamer who's only into, I don't know, let's say shooters. I mean, I don't want to be that guy, right? Let's just say that they play shooters and they play Madden, okay?
Wow, you're really cool. Okay, fine.
Okay, and they do nothing but drink Monster.
Yeah, and their name is Broski and
that's really not
they're
cool.
They're permanently in college, and
oh my goodness, I officially feel bad. I officially feel like Monster.
Okay, well, like, you want a Monster?
Yes.
Monster, sponsor us.
So let's just say you play games on a very casual basis, okay? And fighters don't happen to be one of them.
Yeah.
You go to a friend's house. Hey, you want to play some Tekken 7? Okay, I never tried it before. Like, I'll go easy on you. Okay, like their game, like their plan of attack is just going to be bash, 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 bash.
Yeah.
Not. I mean, yeah, they'll probably do that by button mashing, but their idea is just to overtake the opponent by brute force,
doing more things than them.
There you go.
Yeah.
And that is literally not what the fighting game community does.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's why I think it's going to take still some time for fighting games to kind of emerge out of there. I mean, like, I think esports games like League of Legends, I mean, when you think of esports on the competitive level, I think the first thing you're going to think of is probably League of Legends.
It is.
League of
I think
Legends,
it's still the biggest game in the world.
or RTS games like StarCraft.
Yeah, that's kind of what started it all.
Mm-hmm. So like fighting games are, we have Evo, and that's gigantic, but whether or not we'll see that in the Olympics anytime soon, I'm not sure. You know what I mean?
And people are talking about eSport Olympics, but I don't know. Yeah,
that'd be something, I guess.
Yeah.
Until then, I mean, like I am gonna try to get Tekken 7 once I feel financially comfortable to do so.
Yeah, and I'm gonna do the same with Pokken DX.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, if I was better at Street Fighter, I'd probably be getting Street Fighter 5 also. But I was a little offended by Street Fighter 5's choices too.
What do you mean, like?
Like only online. Do or die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it was. Most people perceived it as a game that was just for competitives, and even competitives have some issues with it. But it's just such a big name, and people watch it so much. It's like, well, yeah, this is the big one.
But I mean,
for casuals, it's like,
yeah, I just have a love affair for Tekken though, like straight up. I remember I was out on vacation somewhere, and I had my 3DS with me because I like to play video games when I relax too, and I would play Tekken on 3DS like over and over again, and it's not necessarily the same experience as playing it on a console, playing it on a handheld console, but like it's the same moves, it's the same game, it's the same music, yada yada, all that sort of stuff. Like I just love Tekken. That's just me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I feel the same way with Smash Bros.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just fun, and to me, it's never going to be the single player mode is never going to be like the thing for me. But at the same time, I don't think I'll ever be a person where I think we're going to talk about this a little bit more, but we're running on time. But I want to talk about like what draws you to a fighting game, because for me, it is. I think for everybody, it's like this looks cool. Like a lot of people who are complaining about Marvel vs. Capcom is like these characters they don't look that cool. They look like they're doing the same thing they did in MVC3. Their faces are not very good looking. The roster isn't that cool. It's like you want to do cool stuff. Another game that's out there that like hasn't really caught on is like King of Fighters. King of Fighters 14. And when you watch that game, you can tell people are doing cool stuff, but it doesn't look as cool as a lot of other games. So it doesn't really catch on as a spectator game. And people are like, the mechanics of the game are great. And I'm not here to bash King of Fighters, but if you want to look at what makes a game popular, it's a lot of that appearance. It is a lot of the first impression. If you can pick up and play and enjoy it, then I think it has a better chance than this is probably just personal preference, I still just don't think Tekken is as accessible immediately as something like Street Fighter. And maybe that's why it still has to play second fiddle a little bit. But
well, you got me there.
I don't want to bash on Tekken.
No.
But I'm just for me. And that's
a good point too. Street Fighter is kind of above Tekken in terms of the competitive fighting world, like sort of thing. Other games are too.
Yeah.
But
and again, I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I know a lot of the core internet fighting community has a hate affair for Street Fighter 5, and Tekken 7 hit the ground running. Like people love that game, but in terms of mainstream popularity and certainly like esports, Capcom has definitely made sure that Tekken has remained second fiddle to Street Fighter. Mm-hmm. But and it's interesting with fighting games too, because I think a lot of it is like art. When I think of like the games, it's funny because when we do get together, I'm like, let's just try a fighting game. You're like, let's play like Tekken, or like you'll want to try like what is it, Mortal Kombat. You're like, let's play these games, and those games just don't appeal to me at all. Like I want to play like the light goofy games. Like I want to play like Guilty Gear or like Pokken or Smash Bros. Like I like the lighter or Street Fighter, which is a little bit of a lighter, more cartoony feel. So
we are oddly kind of matched when it comes to Street Fighter 4, right?
Yeah, I mean we're both pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean we never compete anytime soon, but like we're kind of matched.
Yeah, Street Fighter 4 is that sort of middle ground, I guess I'd say.
Yeah, that's interesting, because Tekken, you have no chance.
Absolutely no chance. It's really bad, and I just don't enjoy it because I still don't like. I'm just going to rail about why I don't think it's intuitive, but it doesn't feel as intuitive. Like, even another fighting, not that I can actually do this, but somewhere in the back of my head, I'm like, all right, if I hit the light button to the medium button to the heavy button, I'll probably get something that kind of works, sort of. And, like, you could do that in Guilty Gear, too. Like, all right, if I do punch to slash to heavy slash, like, that'll probably work. It's just a matter of me being good enough to actually land that light one. But in, like, I have no idea, like, is it right punch to left, right punch to right kick? Like, there's nothing, like, and you just have to know. You just have to play that character enough to know, like, it's actually right punch into right punch and left kick into left punch to right kick, and it's just like, but why would that ever be? Like, I know, there's nothing intuitive about that to me. But anyway, I understand a lot of people love Tekken, and watching the fighting game community has really gone around Tekken 7, and Tekken 7 is pretty fun to watch. Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, it's still just a little too, it's not my cup of tea to watch, because it's still just a little too gritty and just, I don't know, dark, and that doesn't appeal to me as much in fighting games, as far as a spectator, and that's just preference.
Well, I think that's also why Mortal Kombat isn't up there either.
Yeah, Injustice 2 is getting up there, though. I don't think it's quite as, it's not big by any means, but I love watching Injustice 2, and that's dark, but it has the superhero aesthetic, where like Green Lantern is still cool to watch, like, Supergirl, or they have colors and really cool stuff that they're doing that's like, yeah, these are the superheroes I like to watch, and it's like, yeah, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, that's interesting.
But,
so, I mean, I think fighting games for us, I mean, we're pretty cemented as far as our love affair for our particular fighting games, I think. However long Smash Bros. And however long Tekken is going to be like a franchise, I think we're going to get the games whenever we can.
Yeah, or maybe just watch it, like, as we get older and our fingers start to slow down and we don't have that twitch response.
I can't play Tekken 29 anymore. You go over that, man.
On my projector
That's not cool. I know. I'm used to Tekken Tag.
I'm cool in Tekken 26, but 28. These darn kids don't appreciate the effort I put in to stay relevant.
That's our future.
Yeah, that's it.
And we'll still be here. I'll tell you what my grandson told me about Tekken 29.
We'll be podcasting about fighting games, episode 13. How are fighting games now?
We'll still only have one listener, I'm sure. Thanks, Cheap Weasel.
Thanks. Don't die on us.
Don't die on us, please. We'll get better. On that note, any concluding thoughts you'd like to give out?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like, it's fighting games are still fun. We'll never be like in the FGC or whatever. Like, as far as that, and that's not against them. It's just because we're bad and we're not as driven to be competitive. But kudos to you guys, because I love watching you. So keep it up.
I think you guys definitely give off a really good effort. Like, there's no playing around with you guys, straight up. So yeah, I think that'll about wrap it up for this one. We'd like to thank you guys for tuning in on another episode of the Why Do I Talk to You podcast. Thank you so much again to Danny Barrett Hufair for our wonderful artwork. Special thanks to the combined efforts of OC Remix, Rob KTA, XPRT Novice for our wonderful intro and outro music. If you are watching or listening to this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe, especially if you enjoyed this. Please don't report us because you don't like us.
That's not what that button's for.
No, but people do use that for that. If you're listening to this on iTunes, please stay tuned for more episodes to come and share this. Get some people to start listening to us again. Again, please, not just one time.
Who started listening?
Ouch.
When did we have listeners?
Ouch. I have still been Saul Starsheet 4.
For some reason. I'm still Dave.
And
Dave Maple.
And we really hope that you will return in for the next episode. Thank you so much.
Take care.